Have you ever wondered how Europe, a continent rich in history and culture, came to be as we know it today? Our journey begins thousands of years ago with the ancient civilizations that laid the foundations of Europe as we know it. These were the Greeks and Romans, civilizations that have become synonymous with the birth of European culture and thought. The Greeks, a people of philosophers, athletes, and artists, were the first to truly shape the continent. Their city-states, such as Athens and Sparta, were the forerunners of modern-day urban centers. They developed democracy, an idea that has become the bedrock of many societies today. Their philosophers, such as Plato and Aristotle, questioned the world, laying the groundwork for scientific and philosophical thought. Their stories, from the heroic tales of the Iliad and the Odyssey to the tragic plays of Sophocles, still inspire and entertain us today. And then came the Romans, a civilization known for its military might and vast empire that spanned from Britain in the west to Asia Minor in the east. Their impact on Europe is still visible today, from the Latin language that has shaped many modern European languages, to the network of roads that still crisscross the continent, to the laws and systems of government they developed. The Romans took the Greeks' achievements and spread them far and wide, forever changing the face of Europe. These ancient civilizations were not without their flaws and struggles. They were often at war with each other and with others. They faced internal strife and external threats, but through it all, they managed to create lasting legacies that continue to shape Europe and the world. As the Greek and Roman empires fell, a new age dawned upon Europe, an age of darkness and transformation. But that, my friends, is a story for another time. The fall of Rome led to a period often referred to as the Dark Ages. But was it really as dark as we think? In the wake of the Roman Empire's collapse, Europe plunged into centuries of social and political upheaval. This period, spanning from the 5th to the 15th centuries, is commonly known as the Middle Ages. But why do we often dub them the Dark Ages? Let's delve deeper. The term Dark Ages suggests a time of cultural regression and general decline, but this is a somewhat misleading label. True, the period was marked by frequent wars and invasions. The feudal system, a hierarchical structure with the king at the top and serfs at the bottom, emerged as the dominant social structure. Kings and lords granted lands to their vassals, who in turn swore fealty and provided military service. This system, while it fostered stability, also reinforced social inequality. Amidst the turmoil, the church rose to prominence, becoming an influential institution. It filled the power vacuum left by the crumbling Roman Empire, providing social and moral guidance. Monasteries became centers of learning, preserving and copying ancient texts. Yet, ironically, while the term Dark Ages implies a dearth of cultural and scientific progress, this period also witnessed remarkable achievements. The Middle Ages were far from being a cultural wasteland. The era saw the birth of Gothic architecture, a style characterized by pointed arches, ribbed vaults, and flying buttresses. This architectural revolution led to the construction of some of Europe's most iconic cathedrals, like Notre Dame in Paris. In the realm of science, scholars like Roger Bacon laid the groundwork for the scientific method, emphasizing observation and experimentation. In the arts, luminaries such as Dante Alighieri and Geoffrey Chaucer transformed vernacular languages into worthy literary mediums, breaking away from the Latin tradition. So was it a dark age? Perhaps not. The Middle Ages were indeed a time of upheaval and uncertainty, but also an era of resilience and innovation. From the darkness emerged a thirst for knowledge and exploration, leading Europe into an era of enlightenment and discovery. Imagine an era when the world as we knew it expanded tenfold. This was the age of enlightenment and discovery, a time when the human spirit of curiosity and exploration was set aflame, forever changing the course of history. It all began with the Renaissance, a period of intellectual rebirth that swept across Europe between the 14th and 17th centuries. As if emerging from a long slumber, the people of Europe began to rekindle their interest in the arts, philosophy, and science. Great minds like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo not only painted masterpieces, but also delved into the mysteries of the natural world, leading to astonishing breakthroughs. Parallel to the Renaissance was the scientific revolution. This was a time when the old dogmas were questioned, and a new approach to understanding the world was born. It was during this period that individuals like Galileo Galilei and Sir Isaac Newton laid the groundwork for modern physics, astronomy, and mathematics. Think of it, the laws of gravity, the concept of inertia, the idea of a heliocentric universe, All these emerged during this remarkable era. But the Age of Enlightenment was not just about intellectual growth. It was also an age of exploration and discovery. The horizon of the known world was no longer the edge of Europe. Adventurous explorers like Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama sailed beyond the familiar seas, discovering new continents and sea routes. These voyages not only expanded geographical knowledge but also led to unprecedented cultural exchanges and the formation of global trade networks. This era of discovery and enlightenment was a tipping point in European history. It was a time when the human mind stretched its boundaries, when the world became a larger place, and when the seeds of modernity were sown. It was a time when old beliefs were challenged, new ideas were embraced, and the spirit of inquiry and innovation was celebrated. As Europe entered the 18th century, the winds of change began to blow, leading to a period of revolution and reform. Revolution was in the air. Would these winds of change bring destruction or a new beginning? As the 18th century unfurled, Europe found itself at a crossroads. The French Revolution, a tumultuous period of societal upheaval, was about to dramatically alter the course of history. The people, driven by a thirst for liberty, equality, and fraternity, rose against the aristocratic rule, toppling the monarchy and ushering in a new era of social and political order. This wasn't just a French affair. The echoes of the revolution reverberated across the continent, sparking radical changes and inspiring the fight for democracy and human rights. Meanwhile, another revolution was brewing, this time in the realm of industry and economy. The Industrial Revolution, originating in Britain, was a game changer. It shifted the gears of society from an agrarian and handicraft economy to one dominated by industry and machine manufacturing. This period was marked by a flurry of technological innovations and inventions. Steam engines roared to life, textile mills hummed with activity, and railways crisscrossed the landscape, effectively shrinking the world as we knew it. But these revolutions weren't without their challenges. The French Revolution, for all its promise of liberty, was a time of great violence and uncertainty, culminating in the Reign of Terror. The Industrial Revolution, while bringing unprecedented economic growth, also led to overcrowded cities, grim working conditions, and a significant increase in pollution. Yet, as the dust settled, it became clear that these revolutions had irrevocably transformed Europe. The French Revolution had dismantled the old feudal system, paving the way for democracy and the rise of nationalism. The Industrial Revolution had sparked a shift towards capitalism and urbanization, setting the stage for the modern world. In the grand tapestry of history, these periods of revolution and reform were turning points, marking the end of the old order and the start of something new. These revolutions paved the way for a new era, an era marked by conflict and war. In the early 20th century, Europe found itself in the grip of two devastating world wars. How did these conflicts shape the continent? The first half of the 20th century was a tumultuous period in Europe's history, marked by two world wars that left an indelible imprint on the continent. The First World War, a conflict of unprecedented scale, erupted in 1914. It was sparked by the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary, a dramatic event that set the dominoes of alliances tumbling across Europe. The war saw the fall of four great empires: the Russian, the Ottoman, the German, and the Austro-Hungarian. It was a war of trenches and barbed wire, where millions lost their lives for mere miles of ground. Fast forward to 1939, and Europe was once again thrown into turmoil with the onset of World War II. This conflict was a product of unresolved grievances from the First War, coupled with the rise of totalitarian regimes in Germany, Italy, and the Soviet Union. The war saw atrocities of an unimaginable scale, including the Holocaust, and resulted in a radical reshaping of the world order. The aftermath of these wars was profound. They altered the political landscape of Europe, leading to the decline of European dominance on the world stage. The power vacuum left by the fallen empires was filled by two new superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, marking the beginning of the Cold War era. These wars also triggered significant technological and scientific advancements, from the development of nuclear weapons to advancements in medicine and computing. But perhaps the most enduring legacy was the profound change in the mindset of Europeans. The destruction and trauma of the world wars led to a deep desire for peace and unity, a sentiment that would eventually lead to the formation of the European Union. The aftermath of the World Wars led to a time of reconstruction and a quest for unity. From the ashes of war, a new vision for a united Europe emerged. But how did this vision become a reality? In the aftermath of the Second World War, Europe was a continent divided, scarred by conflict and in desperate need of unity. It was from this chaos that the seeds of the European Union were sown. The European Coal and Steel Community, established in 1951, was the first step towards this unity. By pooling resources and promoting cooperation, 6 European countries, Belgium, Germany, France, Italy, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands, set the groundwork for what would become the European Union. In 1957, the Treaty of Rome was signed, formally establishing the European Economic Community and marking a significant step towards economic and political integration. Over the decades, more countries joined this unique union, attracted by the promise of peace, prosperity, and a shared vision for a better future. But the journey wasn't always smooth sailing. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 marked a critical turning point, not just for Germany, but for all of Europe. It symbolized the end of the Cold War, the collapse of communism, and the beginning of a new era of freedom and unity. However, this new chapter also brought its own set of challenges, including economic disparity, political turmoil, and questions about national identity and sovereignty. Despite these challenges, the European Union has had many successes. From the establishment of a single market and the introduction of a common currency, to the championing of human rights and the environment, the EU has become a major player on the global stage. Yet it's not just about politics and economics. From the cobbled streets of Rome to the bustling metropolis of Berlin, from the rich artistic heritage of Paris to the cutting-edge innovation of Stockholm, modern Europe is a vibrant tapestry of cultures, languages, and histories. Today, Europe stands as a testament to its rich and tumultuous history, a beacon of culture, diversity, and unity. In the span of just 15 minutes, we've journeyed through thousands of years of European history. We began with the ancient beginnings, where civilizations first took root in Europe, laying the foundations of society as we know it. We delved into the Dark Ages, a time shrouded in mystery and marked by significant cultural change. We then moved on to the Age of Enlightenment and Discovery, where Europe began to shape the world in unprecedented ways. We witnessed revolution and reform, a period of political upheaval and social change before plunging into the tumultuous era of the World Wars. Finally, we explored the formation of the European Union and the face of modern Europe. Each era, each event, each individual has played a part in sculpting the continent we know today. Remember, history is not just about the past. It's a guide to understanding our present and shaping our future.